Dakar, the capital of Senegal, recently hosted the Ecobank Group's Board of Directors annual meeting for the first time ever. Papa Madiaw NDIAYE, chairman of the board, discusses the challenges ahead of Ecobank as it celebrates its 40th anniversary. Ladies and gents, thanks for joining us for this new edition of Decryptage. Miss NDIAYE, welcome to Africa 24 English. The 2025 Ecobank Board of Directors meeting in Dakar coincides with the group's 40th anniversary celebrations. Ecobank has become a pan-African benchmark. How does this milestone fit into the long-term vision of innovation, impact, and African financial sovereignty?
First of all, thank you for having me today. It's a pleasure to be here. Always a pleasure to exchange with Africa 24. For me, there's two things to mention. The first one is that there's the 40th anniversary, but it's also Ecobank Senegal's 25th anniversary. The two are coinciding. As much as I want to enjoy the celebration, and I will, the emphasis really should be on what this means, not just for Ecobank, but our customers, what it means for our partners, what it means for our staff. It's a moment of pride. But it's also a moment to appreciate the resilience and the ambition, the vision that was put forth by the founding fathers 40 years ago, who had a dream that no one thought was realistic at the time, but which we can see the results of that today. But when we go past that, we're really looking at what this represents for the African banking sector. When Ecobank was coming in, most of the banks, certainly in Francophone West Africa, were not African banks in terms of ownership and start. Today, you look around and there's tremendous diversification, and you also see a lot of African banks from other countries settling into countries outside of their own, east, west, southern, all over the continent. So I think as we celebrate this, we also will take time to celebrate the road traveled by this industry so far, which we're so proud of.
The Senegal 2050 plan unveiled by the new authorities aims to bring about a profound transformation of the country. How is Ecobank positioning itself to support its national priorities?
Banking is an industry of relationships. And before we can even get product focus, we need to continue to strengthen our relationship with the government of Senegal. I have been privileged to spend some time with the Minister of the Economy, the Minister of Finance, other members of government, and the President. And we've told them that we are committed to accompanying Senegal and being supportive. It's one thing to provide loans to customers in the corporate sector, but we also want to expand to provide loans to the SMEs and create local champions that will be regional champions, but even go with the digitalization into better financial inclusion for gender, for the very small enterprises through digital lending and other such services. So that's one side of our classic, what we're known for. But in addition to that, we really can do a lot more, and we want to do a lot more for this 2050 program with the Senegalese government in terms of advisory services and in terms of support of certain industries, oil and gas, where we have a dedicated window for that, infrastructure, where we have a lot of know-how to share, and also looking at what we've learned supporting other African countries and then applying it to the reality of the Senegalese growth plan. So we're very excited to work with the Senegalese authorities and also see how we can be a good advisor on debt restructuring and such.
Mr. NDIAYE, the Ecobank reported total assets of approximately $28.89 billion as of March 31, 2025, up 9% year-on-year. In your opinion, what are the drivers behind this growth in a difficult macroeconomic environment?
We are ambitious, so whatever growth we get, you can bet that we will be asking, can we do more? The drivers are first and foremost the fact that we have a diversified operational base. An entire continent cannot be doing poorly, and an entire continent will not be doing great at the same time. We wish it were the case. So being diversified puts us in a position that no matter what the year is, we can continue a solid, steady growth. We've seen a growth in deposits, and that is very gratifying for me because it shows the trust that customers have in us. People take their hard-earned money and then entrust that with us. And so every extra CFA, franc, or dollar that we receive is something that we should be taking pride in taking care of. Beyond that is that our various initiatives such as digitalization and financial inclusion, starting to do more lending on a dedicated basis to women through the Elevate program that's right now in 18 countries, and we want to grow that. Starting to do micro lending and learning from what we've seen in various other parts of Africa, particularly in East Africa and other places, to apply it to West and Central Africa in terms of mobile money and such, is really at the root of this growth that you're seeing. Today, we want to not only be strong in corporate investment banking, but we also want to be strong in SME financing.
The group's loan-to-deposit ratio fell to 49% in the first quarter of 2025, compared with 53.7% a year earlier. How is the board supporting the strategy of moderating credit risk while ensuring growth?
Very good question. It's always a challenge for us to justify slowing down when we're trying to grow. So we would love to continue on a sustained basis to do more lending. But when we see macroeconomic headwinds all over the place, we have to be a little bit more conservative in order to protect our customers and to protect our shareholders. But this is a small reduction. But in the middle of all of this, we're continuing to grow revenues, as we've done already 13% this year. And we're going to look forward to things stabilizing a little bit between now and the end of the year, where you will see another growth into our lending portfolio.
How do you view the evolution of banking in Africa through the lens of Ecobank's journey?
That's the kind of question I like, because it's a question that I think we don't ask ourselves enough. I always say that people like to talk about unicorns and other types of interesting historical animals, but when you really look at the African banking sector, you will see tremendous growth. There are so many institutions that as recently as 15, 20 years ago did not exist. And today they are key players in the local market. I'm not going to name any names, but you know them, you see them all around. I remember when Ecobank was opening in Burkina Faso, which was our sixth opening in 1998. The bank was, the Burkina Faso only had non-African banks, foreign banks. Today, that is not the case. That is just one example. I also really like the fact that you will see Nigerian banks opening affiliates in Ghana, but also in Cote d'Ivoire and Senegal. You will see increasingly other institutions from the Francophone zone going to the Anglophone. And now you're seeing more East African banks coming to Central Africa and looking to come to West Africa and vice versa. Ecobank started all of this. And we're gratified to see that people are following our example, because the more we grow the pie, the more we can share it. So it's very important that while we see each other as competitors, that we really support each other in order to grow the African banking sector, because Africa continues to be one of the places in the world with the lowest banking rate of its population. So we'd like to see that grow.
Ms. NDIAYE, thank you for answering Africa 24's English questions. Ladies and gents, thank you for watching this edition of Decryptage. Stay tuned on Africa24TV.com and on the app My Africa 24.